All right, welcome. We are going to do a showdown. This is the Pilot Varsity versus the Platinum Preppy. Uh, I don't know that anyone's ever done a video to compare these in this exact style, but I have seen some blogs where people talk about each pen, and I do think they're similar enough that we can compare them, although they are, you know, they are different enough as well. So I've got some criteria. These are not in any specific order, but I've got the varsity, the preppy, and then if it's a tie, just to kind of go through these. So first thing I want to start with is the looks, the aesthetics. I'm giving a point to preppy because as much as I don't dislike the look of the varsity, and I have seen comments or blogs where people have, removed this maybe with nail polish cleaner or things like that. The I don't know. It doesn't look as good. I feel like the preppy does look better in general. There is a barcode here that does bug me a little, and the writing here. It's definitely not what I would want typically in a fountain pen, but they do also have the wah as well as, and they've got the cool designs, and they've got the modern maquille, things like that. So I have to give props to Platinum Preppy on this one. Next point is price slash value. It's hard to compare these, so I am settled on a tie. And these are Goulet Pens website prices, but anywhere you look, you're gonna find varsities are less money, but there's also some reasons for that, and I think as we go through it, I feel like they both hold their weight as far as their value. So again, these, well, I do need to say these are my attributes that I'm testing, and you may disagree with my attributes. You may disagree with the judgment that I make, but feel free to comment about that. What attribute am I missing, or if I'm off on something? I do have to have a little bit of a disclaimer. My gateway into fountain pens was the Pilot Varsity, so I've actually gone a long time without ever trying a preppy until recently. So now that I have both, I feel like I can kind of compare these. So I will try to leave my biases at the door because I do have a fondness for the varsities for that reason. But all right, let's jump ahead. Colorways. So this one has to go to preppy. Pilot, I think there's about 7 colors you can get this in, and it's a decent variety, but preppy has 7 colors, plus they have a clear. Then they also have all of the preppy wah and the maquilles and the different pens that way. So anyway, preppy definitely gets that. I don't think anyone would argue. Capacity. So the varsity can hold about 1.7 milliliters, so a lot. The converter, if you use it, is about half a milliliter. If you use the cartridge, it's a little over 1.06. And then you do have the option to silicone grease this, use an O-ring, and eyedropper this pen. And you'll get about 3 or even more than 3. So it's a clear win for preppy there. Ink windows, I like to be able to see how much ink is left, and so I think there's something to that. You can tell with a varsity, you kind of have to hold it up to the window, up to something really bright light, and you can tell basically how much ink you have. But the preppy wins. It's just demonstrator style. So refillability, or this could be one word, refillability. You can refill a Varsity. I know I probably need a lot of comments. You can refill a Varsity. I know you can. I've seen the videos on it, and it's probably not as difficult as maybe I think it is. I've just never done it. I've never seen the need. They last a good long time, and they're also very inexpensive. So you can refill these, but they're not really designed for that. So, and I would question how well you can clean the nib and the feed and all those things, although it's probably decent. But the Preppy is designed to be refilled, so obviously that's a win there. For durability, I'm actually giving points to the Pilot. This is a softer type of plastic, and I used these for years. I know that you can throw them around, bang them around. They don't have issues. The clip itself is also just really durable. So I'm giving points there. I've heard some issues with cracking with the Preppy. We'll have to see what my experience is. I can definitely see with this plastic type that it could. But anyway, durability itself. Ink Agitator. Some people may like the fact that the cartridge that comes with the Preppy has a little ball, and when you insert that, it becomes an agitator. You can probably hear it. So to me, that's a con. I don't like the sound. I don't think I need the agitator. It could be a feature if you are, planning to put some kind of a shimmering ink in there. Overall, I'm giving points to the Pilot. You don't need the agitator, and although that only applies if you're using a cartridge. Obviously, if you eyedropper this or you use the converter, I don't believe the converter has an agitator. So, all right, weight. This one, it's not a tie or no one wins. This is really preference, these next few. So you've definitely got more weight in total, plus unposted. So the Varsity is pretty light unposted. So for that reason, I tend to post it if I'm doing long writing sessions. The length, so you definitely have more length, both in total and posted. So, I mean, they're close, but the Preppy is definitely a little bit longer. So I've got the measurements there. Grip diameter. This is very much neck and neck. They're both right about 10 millimeters. So 9.9 for the Pilot and 10 for the Preppy. Both really comfortable in the hand. Both really well balanced. You're talking about two Japanese pen companies that are at the top of their game, and they're making this low-end pen, and they're both doing a great job. So, but let's move forward. So let's talk about nib options. Varsities only come with a medium. So that's one element. Price versus value. I should go back to this for just a second. $6 versus $7. The 7 is only for the extra fine as of now, right when I'm filming on the Goulet website. So mediums and fines are 6. The extra fine is $7. So there is an extra fine option. You just pay $1 more, but yeah, you actually have choices. And since I'm comparing these two, I definitely went with an 05 Preppy, just so that it matches more closely to this. And I've got blue versus blue, so I really want to compare these as apples to apples as I can. Okay, writing experience. This one, I'll do a writing sample in a minute when I'm done here, but I've just noticed that The Preppy is incredibly smooth. It is glassy smooth, as I'm calling it. Whereas the Pilot has just that perfect amount of feedback that I like. So for me, I would lean to the Pilot. I actually like a little bit of feedback. If you like more smooth, then Preppy is going to be more enjoyable, I think. Again, this one I can't really rank. It's going to be a tie as far as I'm concerned. Reverse writing, the Pilot actually does a better job. It's more scratchy with the Platinum. I mean, it gets a really fine line, but you can get a fine line and not have that scratchy sensation if you want to use a reverse writing. Drying out issues. This one is a tie. I really like the slip and seal cap. So you can see that inner cap there, and it's spring loaded. So as you put this in, you'll see that spring being held in place. So I've heard these can go a really long time without drying out. You know, as long as you got that cap on. And then from personal experience, I've never had a Varsity dry out on me, and I've had them for a very long time not used. So, I mean, yeah, one has a slip and seal cap, but I just haven't heard of drying out issues. They're both phenomenal that way. The ink aesthetics. This one is something for preference. So, you know, you can see this little sample here. The Pilot is a more saturated blue. The Preppy is a lighter blue. This is just the ink that came with the pens, right? So again, that's personal preference. But if you know you like more saturated and you like a little feedback, then I think I would recommend the Pilot versus glassy smooth and less saturated. Although this is just the blue, so this could be different depending on the color of the ink. Ink drying time. I actually had originally given a point to Preppy on this, but I noticed on different papers it actually I've tried a few different papers and it kind of just depends. So I'm just calling that a tie. And then water resistance. The Pilot is much less water resistant, that ink. So you can barely tell that ink was dropped on this. It's, you know, I don't know if it's designed to be permanent, but it's good stuff. So let's look at my total scores. So of all these, there's some I didn't mark, but there are 5 areas where I just called it a tie. There's 7 that went to Preppy and 3 that went to Pilot. And so just to summarize, the Pilot really comes across with its durability. It doesn't rattle. If you're using that one option, it rattles with the Preppy. And reverse writing. And then you've also got some preferences, so more feedback, more saturated, those kind of things. And if you don't want to mess with refilling it, you know, if you want some pens that you can give away and try to, you know, introduce people to the hobby, these are great. The Preppies might be really nice too, but they're just, you know, twice as expensive. And if they don't like it, they could be throwing this in the garbage, and that's a kind of a shame for this nicer plastic. But anyway, so all of that is, there's a lot of preferences here. So let me do a quick writing sample and keep this video from going too long. All right, so we have, you can hear the feedback on this. And this is a medium. This is Rhodia paper. So you can get a look for the ink. Here we've got the So yeah, I think if I do a little ink swatch here, right next to each other. Oops, a little bit of drying out. I've had the caps off of these for a little bit. So yeah, you can definitely see it's a darker, more saturated blue, and the Preppy is really smooth. It's quite enjoyable. I might lean a little more to the Varsity because it's what I'm used to, but anyway, this has been fun. Hopefully this was interesting, and I'd love to know in the comments which do you prefer and the reason why. And did I miss something? What else should I have considered? Please give this video a like. I would really appreciate that, and subscribe if you want to see what's coming next. All right, thanks. We'll see ya.